All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. Back for another quick hit. And first and foremost, as always, before I get started, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the head apostles / elder bishops of Great Millstone who teach and who rule well. Peace, blessings, and safety to all you sincere Akim. Keep pushing, keep believing, and keep the faith, regardless of what people hear or what they forbear. All right, and this lesson today, I'm going to be going into this phrase, all right, about the Jew and the Greek. All right, I'm going to go into the true understanding, the breakdowns of exactly what that means. All right, and the history behind it. So I'm going to start off with this scripture I got right here. This is the book of Galatians, chapter 3 and verse 28. It says, "There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female. For ye are all one in Hamashiach Yahushai." All right. And pretty much the way that the world understands this is that when it says neither Jew nor Greek, all right, they think that it means pretty much everyone on the face of the earth, every nation, all right, can be a part of the promises, can be a part of this fold, all right, and can receive salvation, all right, which they really don't even understand everything that salvation entails, all right. By definition of what salvation is, it is not possible for every nation to take part in the salvation of the Israelites, all right, to be a part of the promise. But let's see, that's a different topic for a different day. Right now, I'm just going to focus on this phrase right here. There is neither Jew nor Greek. All right, now you have to understand, all right, the true understanding of that is that both of these groups that are spoken of here are actually Israelites. When it says there is neither Jew, all right, a Jew is just going into particularly those of the Southern Kingdom. In this context, all right, it was those who remained faithful and continued on in the customs and the religion of their Israelite forefathers, all right, who pretty much continued on with the feast, the holy days, all right, the laws, the statutes, the commandments, all right, all the different things that made them separate from the world. They continued on with these things, all right. And then it says, nor Greek, all right, and the Greeks were those who were indoctrinated into Greek culture, all right, which is also known as being Hellenized, all right. So these are Israelites, though, all right. Both groups of people that are spoken of here in this context are Israelites. And once again, I'm just going to go into the scriptures. I'm going to prove that, all right, through this video, Lord's will, I'm able to make it short, sweet, and to the point, all right. But we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. All right, as I said before, all right, the Jew is going to those who are still practicing the faith, all right, and then the Greek is going into those who have been what's called Hellenized. And you must understand this when you're reading the context of the New Testament. All right, if you don't understand the history behind how everything went down, then it's not going to make sense to you, and you're going to be able to be fooled into thinking that it means literally every nation on the earth. But the scriptures, they're very clear, and it tells you that salvation, the promises, all these things only pertain to the Israelites. All right, and as a matter of fact, we'll start off with that. Okay, so we're going to go to the book of Romans chapter 9. And all we need to read is verse 3 and 4. All right, it says, this is Apostle Paul speaking. It says, "For I could wish that myself were accursed from the anointed, for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh." All right, so who is he? This is who he's addressing. All right, he says, I wished I could take on, all right, these curses and the suffering, all right, for my brethren and my kinsmen, all right, according to the flesh. It says, verse 4, who are Israelites, all right, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of God and the promises, all right. So all these things pertain to the Israelites, all right, starting off with his brethren according to the flesh. Now, that being said, just because, and it goes on farther along the chapter to tell you that just because you are an Israelite in the flesh doesn't mean that you are an Israelite that is counted for the promise. All right. So, and we're going to dive into that. But anyways, just to get started, we're going to go into the definition of what it means to be Hellenized. And then I got a short clip I'm going to play for you guys. So this is from Wikipedia. All right. But I saw it, and it seems to give a pretty good and general understanding of what Hellenization is. All right. So it says Hellenization, also spelled Hellenization or Hellenism, is the adoption of Greek culture, religion, language, and identity by non-Greeks. In the ancient period, colonization often led to the Hellenization of indigenous peoples. In the Hellenistic period, many of the territories which were conquered by Alexander the Great were Hellenized. Under the Eastern Roman Byzantine Empire, much of its territory was Hellenized. All right, and this is true. All right, and it's actually written of in the Bible. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, I got a short clip. It's about 2 minutes long. I'm gonna play it, and then after the clip is over, I'm gonna show you where it goes into. It speaks about Alexander the Great. All right, and it goes into how a lot of the Israelites consented to pretty much the rulership that followed behind him. All right, and that came with forsaking the law, statutes, commandments of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and taking on the Greek custom and worshiping the false idols of the Greek theology. All right, so I'm going to play that clip real quick. Let's go right into it. Okay, here we are.
In 332 BC, Judea transitioned from under the rule of the Persians to the rule of Alexander the Great, and after Alexander's death, Judea became incorporated into the Greco-Egyptian Ptolemaic kingdom. King Ptolemy Lagides resettled many of the Jews into Alexandria. There, circa 250 BC, during the reign of Ptolemy II Philadelphus, 285 to 247 BC, the translation of the Pentateuch and, later, of the other sacred books into Greek was undertaken. This translation is known as the Septuagint, 70. In 189 BC, Antiochus III, Antiochus the Great, a king of the Seleucid dynasty, reconquered Judea from Egypt. The Seleucids would spread Greek customs and beliefs to the peoples under their governance, a phenomenon referred to as Hellenization. The word Hellenistic comes from the root word Hellas, which was the ancient Greek word for Greece. The Hellenic Age was the time when Greek culture was pure and unaffected by other cultures. The Old Testament community of the faithful struggled against the Hellenistic influences. Written at the beginning of the 3rd century BC, the books of Tobit, Baruch, and the Epistle of Jeremiah were aimed at the reaffirmation of the ethical and religious ideals of Judaism and its defense from the Greek influences. In 168 BC, the Seleucid king Antioch IV Epiphanes, 175 to 163 BC, beset Judea with murderous persecutions, striving to exterminate its faith. The Temple of Solomon was turned into a pagan temple. The books of the scriptures were being burned, and observance of all the religious rituals became banned. The persecuted people and martyrs in those days would draw consolation in the prophecies of the Book of Daniel that was composed circa 165 BC on the basis of older traditions. The Hebrew Bible includes Daniel in the Ketuvim, writings, while Christian biblical canons group the work with the major prophets. The Book of Judith was written around that time too.
Okay, I'm going to stop there because the main point was pretty much brought out. All right, going into what he said Hellenization was, all right, the indoctrination of non-Greeks into Greek culture, customs, religion, etc. All right, so we're going to read about this. This is actually spoken of in the Bible. All right, we're going to go to the book of 1st Maccabees. All right, chapter 1. Now this is in the Apocrypha, all right, which is part of the 1611 King James Bible. All right, I happen to have one myself. All right, I recommend that you get it. So we're going to go ahead and read about it. All right, and once again, this is, I didn't say this before, but this is also prophesied of in Daniel chapter 7 and Daniel chapter 8. All right, goes into the king of Grecia, all right, which is Alexander the Great. So we're going to read about it right here. 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1. And it happened After that, Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Kittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece, and made many wars and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. All right, now, it said in the video that they took over ancient Egypt. All right, when this happened, they took one of their gods of the ancient Egyptians, all right, which was Serapis Christus, all right, and they merged it with Zeus, and that's where you get Jesus Christos from. All right, it's the changing of the imagery, the story, all right, the name of the Hebrew Messiah. All right, it started off all the way going back to this time during the Greek Empire with Serapis Christus, and it continued on and was finally established, I think, around 320 something AD with what's known as the Council of Nicaea. All right, so just a little quick tidbit. You do your research on that. But continuing on, 1 Maccabees 1 and 4, and he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable and were brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years, and then died, and his servants bare rule, every one in his place. And after his death they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. All right, now this guy was spoken of in the scriptures right here, or in that video. It says, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. And now look at this. This is where Hellenization really started. All right, so and of course, you've always had wicked Israelites who were following the customs of the heathens, but by the time that Yahushua came around, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, all right, a lot of people were fully Hellenized. That's the reason why they had been fully indoctrinated in Greek culture for generations after generations, to the point where they completely forgot about Yahweh, the Heavenly Father, all right, and his law, statutes, and commandments. And this is the beginning of it right here. All right, 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. It says, then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. All right, just like today, you got 2/3 of our people, all right, especially quote unquote black Christians. The knowledge, wisdom, understanding this came out, and yet they still want to be joined to the heathen. All right, even though the Lord has called us to be separate from the people of the world. All right, it's the same spirits coming back. Verse 16, it says, now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion of 2 realms. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen and a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. All right, so this is that merging that I was talking about. This is when Serapis Christus and Zeus, the merging came into play. All right, now I'm going to scroll down. Okay, I'm going to scroll down, and actually, you know what? I'll read this. It says, verse 20, and after Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude, and entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar, and the candlestick of light, and all the vessels thereof, and the table of the shewbread, and the pouring vessels and vials, and the censers of gold, and the veil, and the crown, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, which he pulled off. He took also the silver and the gold, and the precious vessels. Also he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre and spoken very proudly. Therefore, there was a great mourning in Israel in every place where they were. All right. So I'm going to scroll down. So he pretty much the same thing. All right. Brought destruction. All right. Let's see. Okay. Now look at this. I'm going to skip down. Verse 28, the land also was moved for the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. And after 2 years fully expired, the king sent his chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, who came into Jerusalem with a great multitude, and spake peaceable words unto them, but all was deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city, and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people of Israel. All right, and when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire, and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. All right, that's the reason why it says in the scriptures, never trust thine enemy. Okay, and just goes into pretty much how he pillaged. All right, he pretty much pillaged and destroyed the Israelites. Now, I'm going to scroll down to verse 41. Just get the point. It says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and that every law, so like everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. It says, yea, many also of the Israelites consented unto his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people. All right, they set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end that they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. All right. Okay, I'm gonna keep reading. It says, in the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land. Okay, so these are the fathers of those quote unquote Greeks that we read about in the New Testament. All right, the Greeks that it's speaking of are not the actual Edomite Greeks. All right, the sons of Alexander the Great, Antiochus Epiphanes. All right, it's talking about these Israelites right here that forsook the covenant and forsook the law. All right, and followed behind the ways of the Greeks because they were afraid of death. All right, let's get another example of this. Okay, a little bit farther down the line in history, 2 Maccabees chapter 6. All right, in verse 1, it says, not long after this, the king sent an old man of Athens, Greece, to compel the Jews to depart from the laws of their fathers, and not to live after the laws of God, and to pollute also the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Jupiter Olympius, that in Gerizim of Jupiter the defender of strangers, as they did desire that dwell in the place. All right, so that's one of the customs of the heathen nations. They all worship the stars, the moons, the heavens. All right, that's the reason why in Jeremiah the 10th chapter, all right, he told the Israelites not to do this. Okay, let's get that right quick. All right, because this is a common thing that the heathen nations did. All right, this is Jeremiah 10:1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. Okay, so once again, you see they set up a temple for Jupiter. They worship planets, stars, the moon. All right, it says let's see. It says verse 3, the coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people, for the temple was filled with riot and reveling by the Gentiles, who dallied with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy places, and besides that brought in things that were not lawful. All right, a lot of these temples, they had temple prostitutes. Okay, it says verse 5, the altar also was filled with profane things which the law forbiddeth. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. All right, and the extension of this is what we see today is in modern day Christianity. All right, they have pretty much done away with the Sabbath. All right, done away with the holy days, and now we have pagan holidays in place of those, Christmas, Easter, okay, Thanksgiving, all right, all these different holidays that have nothing to do with the God of the Bible, all right. It says, okay, let's see, verse 7, and in the day of the king's birth, every month they were brought by bitter constraint to eat of the sacrifices, and when the fast of Bacchus was kept, the Jews were compelled to go in procession to Bacchus carrying ivy. Okay. And that whole Bacchus is a god of wine and reveling. All right. Partying. That's the reason why when you go to college, you get a bachelor's degree. All right. That comes from that word Bacchus. That's why it's like a rite of passage to go to college, especially when you're a freshman. You get super drunk and have all kind of wild orgies and all these kind of wild parties, all right, because they're venerating that god of Bacchus, all right. So, anyways, it says, verse 8, moreover, there went out a decree to the neighboring cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy against the Jews that they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles should be put to death. All right. Then might a man have seen the present misery. And then it goes into some of the atrocities that they did. Okay. Now, this is the beginning. Okay. This is the beginning of Hellenization. This is when it really kicked full force. All right. And in this time, you had a lot of Israelites that were afraid, and they consented to the laws of the Greeks. All right. And to the worship of the Greek gods and all that stuff. So now we fast forward a few hundred years in the time of Yahushua. All right. Now he's saying, hey, even those who you separated from your people and you followed after the Greeks, we all can be one again. All right. That's what that's really going into. Okay. And we're going to prove it right here. This is Acts, and I'm going to get this in the blue letter, Acts chapter 6. All right. But that's really what it's going into. Okay. And that's the reason why the Jews were so angry towards the quote unquote Gentiles. And they were mad at Yahushua as well, because they're looking at it like we stayed strong. We suffered the persecution. We kept the ways of our forefathers. All right. And these people are unclean. That's how they looked at the Israelites who had taken on, kind of like how us in the truth, we look at 2/3, our people that are still indoctrinated in black culture and all that. Their minds are gone. They're indoctrinated with American culture, And we pretty much look at them as unclean for the most part. We don't really want any dealings with them. That's the same way that the Jews felt about the quote unquote Gentiles, at that time, the Israelite foreigners. All right. They were looking at them like these people are unclean. They followed after the ways of the Greeks. All right. So they didn't want anything to do with them. But this is Acts chapter 6. Okay. Acts chapter 6 and verse 1. And in those days when the number of disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration. Now, see, like I said, the world, because they don't understand the context, they see, the Greeks and the Hebrews, all right, the Grecians. But go to the blue letter, all right, and look what it says. It's a Strong's G 1675.
Strong's G 1675. Hellenistes. Hellenistes.
All right, Hellenistes. So it's obvious that comes from that word Hellenization. All right. Now let's see what it says. Okay. It says a Hellenist or Greek-speaking Jew. Okay. It says a Hellenist, one who imitates the manners and customs or the worship of the Greeks and use the Greek tongue. All right. It says used in the New Testament of Jews born in foreign lands and speaking Greek. So this is the true understanding when it's talking about the Greeks. All right, they are by nationality and in state of mind they are Greek, but through seed line they're Israelites. All right, those are the Jews and the Greeks that the Lord came to bring back together. Okay, and as a matter of fact, let's see. Let's go here. I think. All right, it goes into the Lord's Testament. Let me see. See if I can find that word. Okay, mediator. Actually, this is perfect right here. Galatians 3 and 20. All right, it says, now a mediator is not a mediator of one, but Yahweh is one. Now, okay, Hebrews chapter 9, it tells you who Yahushua came for. All right, Hebrews chapter 9 and verse, let's see. Okay, I'm starting verse 14. It says, how much more shall the blood of Yahushai, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to Yahweh, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God. Okay, because once again, they had turned and forsook the law. They forsook worship of Yahweh, the Heavenly Father, for Jupiter, for Zeus, and all these false Greek gods, right? So they were in dead works, okay? But the blood of Yahushai was that blood, that sacrifice, because according to the law, right down here it says, Hebrews 9:22, and almost all things are by the law purged with blood, and without shedding of blood is no remission. All right, so their wickedness, all right, their turning away from the Heavenly Father was open up to be forgiven, all right, through faith, okay, through faith in Yahushai. So now look at this, verse 15, Hebrews 9:15. It says, and for this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. Because if he didn't come, all right, and that's the thing. See, even the Jews, even the ones that had kept the customs, they didn't have faith. All right, and it was evident through their works. Because why? They were using the law for grievousness. They were using the law and abusing it to do wickedness according to the lust of their flesh. And what I mean by that is they were using it to punish. All right, they were using it to punish people that they didn't like. All right, they were unjustly judging. All right, that's the reason why in John chapter 8, Yahushua said, talked about he who's without sin cast the first stone, because what the wicked Pharisees were doing was they would stone people and execute judgments according to the law. Okay, and they would execute judgments on people when they were just as guilty as the people that they were executing judgments on. All right, and that's unrighteous, because everyone, all right, is supposed to get a fair shot. All right. So, anyways, yeah. So going to that, back to that understanding. All right, the Grecians that it's speaking of is talking about the Israelites. All right, that had taken on the Greek customs. Let's actually prove that a little bit farther. Okay. Let's go to the book of Romans, chapter 10. All right, and verse 11 to 13. All right, it says, for the scripture saith, whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed. For there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek. For the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. All right, now what is this referencing? All right, this is referencing, what's that scripture? Joel chapter 2. All right, whoever called upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. And look at this. All right, Joel chapter 2, and let me get 27 right quick. It says, and ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed. All right, now look at this. With the same phrase, all right, going back, let me pull it up side by side. All right, Romans chapter 10. Let's pull it up side by side so we can get it right next to each other. All right. Okay, it says, for Romans 10 and 13, for whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. What is this referencing? Joel 2 and 32. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be delivered. For in Mount Zion, all right, Mount Zion is synonymous with the children of Israel, and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, as the Lord has said, and in the remnant whom the Lord shall call, all right, of the Jews and of the Gentiles, of the Jews and of the Israelite foreigners, all right, those who were indoctrinated into Greek culture. All right, that's what that's going into. Let's get another precept on that. All right, pretty simple breakdown. Romans chapter 9 and verse 23. Let's go there. All right. Okay. It says, I start 22. What if Yahweh, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction? All right, that's Esau. All right, according to Malachi chapter 1, he laid his heritage waste for the dragons. All right, he's the vessel of wrath fitted to destruction. Verse 23, and that he might make known the riches of his glory on the vessels of mercy, which he had afore prepared unto glory. Okay, even us whom he hath called, not of the Jews only, but also the Gentiles. As he saith in OC, I will call them my people which were not my people, and her beloved which was not beloved. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living God. All right, now who is OC? All right, let's go to the blue letter and we'll find out exactly what this is talking about. All right, Romans 9 and 20, where was that? 25. I said, as he saith also in OC. Let's see what that is. Strong's G, 56:17.
Strong's G 56:17. Hosea. Hosea.
Okay, this is Hosea. All right. So, as spoken of in Hosea, I will call them my people, which were not my people, and her beloved, which was not my beloved. And shall come to pass in the place where it was said unto them, you are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living God. Now, where is this written? We just read it's written in Hosea. Now, it's Hosea chapter 1. All right. And it's all the way down at the bottom. It tells you right here. Okay. It says, Hosea chapter 1 and verse 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, you are the sons of the living God. All right. Now, once again, you read in the Romans, people say, oh, see, the Jews and the Gentiles. But then the next verse, it tells you, as he saith also in Hosea. All right. Now, who is it talking about? Okay. Hosea 1 and 11. Then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together, all 12 tribes, because Judah just really represents mostly the southern kingdom. All right. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. But then people forget you have a whole other 9 tribes. All right. It says, then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together and appoint themselves one head, and they shall come up out of the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. All right. And if I'm not mistaken, Jezreel means sown in Babylon. If I'm not mistaken, let me get that right quick. Hosea 1. All right. And where are the children of Israel going to be at the end? All right. In the daughter of Babylon. All right. So they're going to leave up out of Babylon. That's what it's saying, if I'm correct. Strong's H3157.
Strong's H3157. Yisrael. Yisrael. Second entry. Yisrael. Yisrael.
Okay. Yeah. So it says God sows. All right. That's what that means. So God sows, and the sow means like to reap. All right. I like it to plant. I mean, so the Lord's planting. Great shall be the day of the Lord's planting. And all right, we know that that's going to happen. The Lord is he's planted his elect. All right. And they're going to be delivered out of Babylon. All right. But anyways, so I had a little confused. I may be thinking of something else. But anyways, it tells you exactly who it's for. All right. It says the children of Judah and the children of Israel shall be gathered together. All right. And appoint to themselves one head, Yahushai. They shall come up out of the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel. So there you go. It tells you exactly who it's talking about. All right. When it says Jews and Gentiles, all right, in that Romans chapter 9, it's all speaking of Israelites. So anyways, I'm going to close out, but Lord's will, this is edifying to the elect, wherever you may be scattered across the four winds of heaven, four corners of the earth. All praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. All right, shalom.